So I just released version 7.0 of my free dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet, and in this video we're going to do a full walkthrough so you can see all of the new updates, and we'll do a step-by-step demonstration so you can learn how to actually use the spreadsheet for yourselves. But before we get to that, in case you're new to the channel, my name is Ryan, and here we strictly talk about dividend stocks and how you can invest in them to create passive income and reach financial freedom. So if you love dividend stocks and if you're on a mission to retire early, then hit that subscribe button. I'd love to stay in touch as we both continue to grow our portfolios and collect that cash flow. Now, regarding the spreadsheet, there's a handful of key updates in this new version, with the first one being an updated dashboard page. I switched things out and changed some of the information on the dashboard page. It's more or less the same as you remember it, with a few slight adjustments. Next, there is a new page on this spreadsheet called the sold positions page. We'll go through that, but that's basically there to help you keep track of all of the positions you've sold out of in your portfolio. And I also added tracking support for dividend growth rate. So in this new version, you'll be able to see each individual position's dividend growth rate, and you'll also be able to see the dividend growth rate across your entire portfolio, which is very helpful. Another addition to the new version is tracking support for cash in your brokerage account. So if you have any cash sitting on the sidelines, there's now a way to keep track of that in the spreadsheet. And then some of you guys might be a bit disappointed seeing this last update. I actually removed the future value calculator. Truth be told, I just didn't find it to be a very helpful feature. Overall, I think you're much better off tracking the future value of your portfolio using something like this here. This is the marketbeat.com dividend calculator, and it's a much better tool that does the same thing. Anyway, those are all of the updates that you'll find in this latest version of the spreadsheet. And now we're going to go through a step-by-step walkthrough to demonstrate how to get set up and how to start using the spreadsheet. And if you want to follow along as we're going through this walkthrough, there's a link to grab the spreadsheet in both the description and in the pinned comment of this video. Upon clicking the link, all you need to do is input your email and the spreadsheet will be delivered straight to your inbox. And once you have the spreadsheet and you've opened it up, the first page you're going to see is this right here. This is the getting started page, and there's a lot of really important information on this page right over here. When you first open up the spreadsheet, you're only going to have viewing access, which means you're not going to be able to actually go in and make changes or make edits or start inputting your own data. And everything right here tells you exactly how to do that. And long story short, we basically just need to go in and make a copy of the spreadsheet. And once you do that, you'll be able to start inputting your own data. Now, to make a copy of the spreadsheet, it's super easy. It's all outlined right here, but you go to File, you go to Make a Copy, you can choose the name of the spreadsheet, you can choose where you want to save it in your Google Drive, and once you have that all configured, you just click Make a Copy. Now, once you've done that, you've jumped over to the next page, you'll find yourself over here on the dashboard, and as you can see, this is very blank, but this exists to essentially give you an overview of your entire portfolio. It's going to have some really helpful information all right here, but first you're going to have to input your portfolio data over here on the positions page, and it's very easy. The only places that you should need to input any information are the columns and cells that are highlighted in yellow here, and as you can see, it's really not too many. Now, one important thing to note, as you guys will notice, is there are only 30 rows here, so the spreadsheet only has support for up to 30 different positions. And I bring this up because one of the most common questions I get on the spreadsheet is, how do I add more rows? I have more than 30 holdings. How do I add more and make it functional so it'll track all of my positions, whether you have 40 or 50 or 60 or 70? And I know there's a lot of you guys out there who do have that many. And I'll tell you guys what, I really do hate to say this, but if you have more than 30 holdings, I don't know if this is going to be the best spreadsheet for you. There are a lot of moving parts on the spreadsheet, and if you try to add more rows and try to add more columns, it's going to mess with a lot of the different formulas throughout the spreadsheet, and it's going to be a headache and a huge pain in the butt for you to try and update all of those formulas and make everything functional. And so if you have more than 30 holdings, I think you're ultimately going to be better off using a different portfolio tracker. And the one that I recommend is this platform right here called GetQuinn. GetQuinn has one of the best looking interfaces I've ever seen, and it's a great tool for keeping track of all your portfolios, all your holdings, and all of your dividend payments in one place. And you can check it out for free. There is a link to GetQuinn in the description of the video. And if you end up making an account, shoot me a follow over there. My username is just Ryan, so it'll be pretty easy to find. But anyway, back to the demonstration. At this point, we're ready to start inputting our portfolio data. So let's just start putting in our holdings here. Let's say maybe we have 5 different holdings. We've got some Apple, we've got some Microsoft, maybe we have Costco, we have Visa, and then one more. Maybe we've got a little Procter & Gamble. As you can see, once we just started adding tickers, so much information in the spreadsheet started populating, and there's really not too much more to go. From here, you're just going to input your number of shares. For the sake of simplicity, let's say we just have 5 shares of each. And then in this column, you'll put your average cost per share for each position, and I'll just put in some random numbers here. So 650, let's say maybe 250 for Visa, and then let's go 150 there for Procter & Gamble. And overall, things are looking pretty good. Everything's starting to come together. We've got some diversification data, we've got some return data populating. And next we're gonna mosey on over to the sector information here. So this is a drop down. So to choose the sector for each holding, you're just gonna click that drop down, click that arrow, and you're gonna find the right sector. So we've got technology there, we've got technology once again, Costco, consumer staples, Visa, we're looking at financials, and then Procter & Gamble, we're looking at consumer staples once again. And then once that's all taken care of, the last thing to do is input the dividend growth rates. Now, like I said, there's tracking support for this information, but unfortunately, at least as far as I know, there's no way to automatically populate that data. So unfortunately, we have to manually input the dividend growth rates, which really isn't too much of a headache. So we're gonna go ahead and do that here. Let's say Apple's about 9%, I think. Microsoft, let's say about 9% as well. I'm just making up random numbers. I think Costco's actually about 12.4%. Visa's like 16.5%, and I think Procter & Gamble is maybe 6%. So all that information is there and looking good, and we can see that at the bottom of this column here, we actually have the weighted dividend growth rate across our entire portfolio, which is very cool. This is not a bad dividend growth rate, by the way, 11.3%. But anyway, guys, at least for our demonstration here, these are gonna be our only 5 stocks. Now, once we have all of that information populated, this is pretty much all we need to do on the positions page, but we still have all this blank space here. And if this is something that's bothering you, if you don't want to see all of these rows, you can just delete them and everything should update pretty swimmingly. So we're going to highlight all of these rows, right click, and hit delete rows. And upon doing so, everything looks a lot cleaner, guys. This is pretty much it, except for this right here, the dividend growth rate. Now, the error in the cell is gonna be very easy to fix. All we're gonna do is go up to the formula bar right here. You can see that there's all of this information here with that pound reference. You're just gonna delete all of that there. So highlight from here all the way to about there, hit backspace, make sure everything looks good, hit enter, and bada boom, bada bing, we fixed it. Now from there, you might notice that this column here is still all zeroed out. There are no total dividends received accounted for any of these positions. We'll get to that in a moment because all of this information comes from the dividend log page. But before we do, the last thing we'll need to account for on this position page is the cash position. So if you have any cash sitting on the sidelines in your brokerage account that you have yet to invest, this is where you would put it. And let's just say, for example, we have $500 in cash. Just put that number there, hit enter, and that's all you need to do. Now that is it on the positions page, and then the next step is you'll want to go and input all of your dividend payments over on the dividend log page. Now before we start inputting our dividend payments, there's a couple of things that we need to address. First and foremost, you'll see that the date goes all the way back to 2020. Now a lot of you guys don't want it to go all the way back. You'd rather that start at like 2023, for example. Let's say you started investing this last year. That's totally fine. It's super easy to change the dates throughout the spreadsheet, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that later on in the video, so stay tuned. But the next thing, guys, you'll see all of these columns here have that pound reference symbol yet again. Similar to how we did on the positions page to delete all of those rows, we're going to do the same thing for all of these columns here. So just highlight all these columns, right click, and then go to delete right here. And then once you do that, you're all good to go and you're ready to start inputting your dividends. So let's just put some numbers in here. Maybe we got $5 from Apple in January. Maybe Microsoft paid us $10 in January. And once again, guys, these are just random. I don't even know if the dates are right. They're probably wrong. Let's say maybe in February, Costco paid us $25, put in something random for Visa in March, $5 from them, Procter & Gamble. Maybe we have a huge Procter & Gamble position. They paid us $150 in March or something like that. Now, as far as inputting dividends go, that's pretty much all you need to do, and you'll see that everything starts being added together over here on the side. And furthermore, if you go over to the dashboard page, you'll see that it starts populating in these charts here as well, on the monthly dividend income chart, as well as the annual dividend income chart. Now, the last thing worth noting on this dividend log page is the sold positions column. I'm going to circle back to this later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But on that note, one of the updates, if you guys will remember, is the addition of a sold positions page. So over here, this is where you're going to input any stocks that you sold out of in the past. And it's pretty straightforward. There's just a few key pieces of information you'll want to include. Let's just run through an example real quick. Maybe we sold out of Lockheed Martin in the past. Maybe we sold it last July. So let's say 07/31/2023. Maybe we had 5 shares at an average cost per share of like $400. And we sold it at $425. And then maybe in total, Lockheed Martin paid us about $15 in dividends. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, the sold positions page is pretty straightforward, not much explaining to do, but it's just a good place to keep track of everything that you sold in the past. Now, moving on, the monthly data page shown here is the last page that you'll need to add anything to. And once again, it's very easy. Only 2 things that you'll need to do. Every single month at the end of the month, you'll just want to input your market value at that time, as well as your contributions for that month. And you can see that the dates, once again, go all the way back to 2020. You can change this as well. I'll show you how to do that later on. But let's just start putting in some random numbers here. So January 2020 2020, maybe 100. Let's do 200, 300, and then let's, just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go all the way out to the end of the year. And maybe we're adding, $600 a month. I know these numbers don't add up, guys. It's just for the sake of demonstration. And I know this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I just wanted to put these in to show you how everything populates here in the spreadsheet. And with that, guys, that's pretty much the entire walkthrough. I mean, going over here to the dashboard page, you can see everything's pretty much coming together. Everything's populated. And all you need to do from here is just stay on top of things. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully all of that made sense, guys. If you have any questions on anything pertaining to using the spreadsheet, just leave me a comment below and I'll try to help you out. But with that, switching gears, I want to go through a little Q&A and address some of the most common questions that I've gotten pertaining to previous versions of the spreadsheet. Hopefully we can shed some light on all that stuff here. Now, this first question here is one of the most common questions that I get, and it's, can you use the spreadsheet on Excel? Unfortunately, you cannot use the spreadsheet on Excel, guys. I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news. It only works with Google Sheets. A lot of the formulas on the spreadsheet don't carry over to Excel, so if you try to download an Excel file and plug it in there, it's just not going to work. Moving on, the second question here is another very common one that I get, and it's, how do you update a position when you make a purchase? So going over to the positions page, hypothetically, let's say we buy one more share of Apple, okay? We're going from 5 to 6, and all you're going to do is update the number of shares right here. So we now have 6 shares, and maybe your average cost per share increased a little bit after the purchase, so maybe you went to $181 per share. You would update that there, and that's all you need to do. Moving on, I told you guys I was going to address this one. It's, how do you change the dates in the spreadsheet? So if you want to change the dates, there are only 3 places that you need to do that. Number 1 is the dividend log page here. Let's say that you started investing last year in 2023. You would just update the year there to 2023, 2024, and you would do that all the way down, 2025, 2026, and so on and so forth. The second place you'll need to change the dates is over here on the monthly data page, but it's the same thing. Just change the year, 2023, 2024, 2025, all the way down. But you'll also need to do that in this column here all the way down. So instead of January 20, you'll go January 23, February 23, and then you can highlight these two and then just drag and drop this guy right here and it'll adjust them for you. But you'll need to do the same thing here again as well. So January 24, February 24, and then drag and drop that. And then once again, do that all the way down. And then the third and final place you'll need to change the dates is over here on the annual data page. But this is the easiest out of the bunch, guys. 2023, 2024, and then you just do that. Go all the way down. And then once you change the dates on those 3 pages, it'll be reflected throughout the rest of the spreadsheet. All right, now this next question is a good one. I get this all the time. What do you do when you sell a position? And there's a couple things you'll have to do. The first thing we're gonna do is go over here to the sold positions page and input this new sold position. So let's say we're selling out of Visa, gonna put the ticker symbol there. Maybe we sold it today, January 14th. So 1/14/2024, and put the number of shares 5. I think our average cost was $250. Maybe we sold it at $261, and then dividends received, I think we got $5 there. And then once that's done, you can go over to the positions page and just remove this from the spreadsheet. So right click the row and then click delete row. And let's just double check that all the formulas are still working. Nope, once again, we have this issue in the dividend growth rate column, but super easy, guys. Just delete this guy right there. Delete, hit enter, and you're good to go. And then similarly, you'll need to just delete the column over here on the dividend log page. But before you do that, you're gonna move all of the dividends that you were paid by that company from this column here over to the sold position. So just take that $5 and put it there, and then you can delete that bad boy. And from there, you're good to go. Anyway, guys, moving on, the last question that we're going to get into is, how do you input international stocks? So admittedly, the spreadsheet really does work best with US-based companies, but you still can track a lot of international companies. Let's say, for example, you're a Canadian investor and you have some TELUS. I think it's pronounced that way, TELUS or TELUS. You guys know which one I'm talking about, but it's ticker symbol T in Canada. And let's say you input that in the spreadsheet, it's gonna give you AT&T. Now, obviously, this is not the right company, so we need to find the correct ticker symbol to use in this spreadsheet. And because the spreadsheet pulls data from Google Finance, as you can see in the formula right here, to find the correct ticker symbol, just Google the company you're looking for and the exchange you want it on, and it'll tell us the right ticker symbol for this company is TSE:T. So let's go back over to the spreadsheet and put that in TSE:T, and you can see that works. So that's pretty much all you need to do to look up any international company. With that said though, scrolling over, you'll notice that the dividend data doesn't load for a lot of international companies. And this is where it becomes becomes problematic. And this column right here pulls data from a different source. It gets it from finviz.com, so it might register this company under a different ticker symbol. I wish there was a better way to do this, but for international companies where there's no annual dividend information, you're just gonna have to manually input that. And that's pretty much it, guys. Now, if you wanna use the spreadsheet for yourself, then you can check it out right over here. Just click the link, it'll take you right there where you need to go. And if you have any questions on using the spreadsheet, please leave me a comment below, or you can reach out to me via email. But otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for checking out the spreadsheet, and I'll see you in the next one.